Hello, Puerto Princesa, and hello, Philippines. Welcome to Philippine Politics and Governance subject for senior high school students. I am Sir Jazz, your teacher for this episode. Last week, we have discussed the types of political ideologies, and I bet you have learned a lot. In today's lesson, we will be tackling the nature, dimension, types, and consequences of power. Come on, everyone! At the end of the lesson, we will be expected to identify the different types of power, recognize its nature and dimensions, and analyze its consequences. Let's test your prior knowledge by answering the following questions. Read the questions carefully and choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer in your activity notebook. Number 1. President Duterte obliged Filipinos to wear face masks and face shields during the pandemic, and whoever violates the rule will be punished by the law. What kind of sources of power was used? A. Rational legal authority. B. Non-verbal. C. Social control. D. Visual. If your answer is letter A, rational legal authority, then you are correct. Number 2. Which of the following refers to an individual's or group's right to use power by making decisions, giving directives, and demanding compliance? A. Sovereignty. B. Authority. C. Legitimacy. D. Power. If your answer is letter D, power, then you got it right. Number 3. The Pope of the Vatican, Pope John Paul II, visited the Philippines for the celebration of the Jubilee Millennium, which every devoted Filipino Catholic wants to see. What power action is exercised by the Pope? A. Traditional authority. B. Rational legal authority. C. Charismatic authority. D. Formal authority. If you answered the letter C, charismatic authority, then good job! Number 4. Which of the following is not a nature of power? A. Dynamic power. B. Relevant power. C. Relative power. D. Referent power. If you answered letter C, relative power, you are correct. Number 5. The line, power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely, was said by which philosopher? A. Aristotle. B. Eric Hoffer. C. Plato. D. Lord Acton. Is letter D, Lord Acton, your answer? Congratulations! Lord Acton said that power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. What does he mean by this quotation? Does he view power negatively, or is he just stating a fact? We will answer that question later after we have discussed the types of authority, nature of power, its types and consequences. For our first concept, the types of authority. Number 1, traditional authority. It is based on tradition, established beliefs, or values. Examples include the rule of dynasties, just like in China, and the power of the church, such as in Catholic Church. Number 2, legal rational authority. It is based on formal arrangement. Examples are rules, laws, and constitutions. Number 3, charismatic authority. This involves a type of leadership in which authority is derived from the charisma of the leader. Number 4, coercive authority. This pertains to the power to use force such as police or military force to demand obedience from subordinates. Let's move on to the next concept, the nature of power. It is some sort of a way on how power should be imposed or exercised. They can be latent, relative, perceived, or dynamic power. Number 1, latent power is an element that can be converted into power over time. For example, the capacity of the Philippines to build massive military force for the future, but the plan is yet to be realized. Number 2, relative power, on the other hand, is like a decision made by the person in authority, with the help largely from a person with expertise in a certain matter. For example, an agriculture secretary may be more knowledgeable in deciding with regard to food security than the president alone. Number 3, perceived power has something to do with the thoughts of a person as to what kind of person he or she is. For example, a person may recognize somebody to be more effective in handling the agency, knowing his or her attributes towards their jurisdiction. Number 4, dynamic power pertains to the decision-making process and its effects under the condition of inequality. Did you understand everything, students? I bet you all did. But we're not through yet. One of the most important parts of our lesson is the types of power, where we will be enlightened on how powers are bestowed to the person in authority. Number 1, expert power. It is derived from the power holder's special skills or knowledge. One of the examples is the Department of Education Secretary, who is knowledgeable about the Philippine educational system. Number 2, referent power is a power based on possession by an individual of desirable resources or personal traits. Just like Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, a leader who has strong interpersonal skills. Number 3, legitimate power comes from the power holder's position and the formal hierarchy of an organization. Just like in monarchical countries, like in United Kingdom, where their ranks and positions are inherited from their ancestors. Number 4, coercion power is based on fear of negative results. The recent event in Afghanistan shows coercive power from the Taliban or Afghan resistance fighters who are now feared by the Afghan people because of their threats to the citizens. And the last one is number 5, reward power. It comes from the power holder's ability to give something of value, such as money, responsibility, or praise. Just like the recently concluded 2021 Tokyo Olympics, where Heidelin Diaz, a weightlifter in women's division, brought home the gold medal for the first time by lifting 127 kilograms or 282 pounds. Because of her achievement, she was given recognition and money by the President as stated in the Constitution. Wow! Can you imagine that? But of course, it takes a lot of training, effort, and discipline. Hope there will be next gold winnings. Now, let's continue with the dimensions of power. We have 3, namely, physical power, information power, and emotional power. Do you have any idea about these dimensions? Well, let's start with physical power, which individually comes from strength or skill. Examples include wrestlers having a weapon or an ultimate power of a group, and the government. Information power is derived from knowledge and from control access of information where you can permit or offer access to others. One of the examples is a project manager who is technically knowledgeable about the program of his or her department and will help others to enlighten with his or her knowledge by sharing it with others. And now, the last one for the dimension of power is emotional power. It is a social power that is caused by emotion. For instance, a person who has charisma to persuade other people, or oratory and body language in conveying words with a person whom he or she speaks with. Did you get it, students? Which of these dimensions of powers do you think you possess? Is it the physical power? Or is it information power? How about emotional power? I hope you have examined yourself and learned which dimension applies to you. Now, let's move on to the last portion of our discussion, which is the consequences of power. Peter Parker said in the movie Spider-Man, "With great power comes great responsibility." Well, I'm not really a fan of that movie, but it seems valid, right? Well, consequences may arise either positively or negatively. To understand further the consequences of power, let's look at the specific consequences for the different sources of power. Let's analyze the graph. On your left side, you have noticed the different sources of power, which is the same with the types of power: the expert, referent, legitimate, reward, and coercive power. On your right side are the consequences of power, namely commitment, compliance, and resistance. Using an expert and referent power may lead to commitment, since it is a desirable outcome because of the trust and emotional pledge that develops. Compliance, on the other hand, is a result of using legitimate and reward power. It is usually willing to conform with a request and is more likely if it is perceived to be within the leader's scope of authority. But using coercive power will more likely end up resistance, since authority is built with fear and threats. The citizens will then fight the person in authority or might attempt of bringing someone down. It is said that it is best to avoid using coercion except only if necessary. Well done, students! Now you have learned the types of power, its nature and dimensions, and most importantly, the consequences of using it. It's good to realize that indeed, possessing power comes with great responsibility, not only over yourself, but most importantly, over the people around you. I hope all of you paid attention during our discussion, because we will assess everything you have learned. For this activity, circle the words related to our lesson. Refer to the statements on the right for clues. For your convenience, you may pause the video to take a closer look at the puzzle. Are you ready to check your works? Because I'm so excited about it. For the nature of power, we have latent. Next, relative, and dynamic. For the types of power, we have expert. We also have reward. And show me the last word. Voila! Coercive. Did you fare very well in the activity? Keep up the good work. Let's check your attention as to how you will identify each sentence in connection with today's lesson. For the directions, identify the types of authority. Choose your answer from the box and write your answer in your activity notebook. For number 1, it is based on tradition. Number 2, it is based on formal arrangement. Just take note that we are referring to the types of authority. Number 3, it is based on the charisma of the leader. And for the last number, it is the power used to enforce laws. I'm really excited to see your scores. Let's check your answer then. For the first number, the answer is traditional. For the second number, the answer is legal rational. Now the third, it's charisma. And for the last number, it is none other than coercive. Woo! I really love that activity. I hope you had fun. What are your thoughts and insights about our topic? You may post your insights on your social media accounts using our hashtag #PPGPowerW4. In today's episode, we have discussed some relevant topics. We talked about the types of authorities such as traditional, legal, rational, charismatic, and coercive. We identified the nature of power, like latent, relative, perceived, and dynamic. We have also tackled the types of power, namely expert, referent, rewards, legitimate, and coercion. In addition, we enumerated the dimensions of power, categorized as physical, information, and emotional. And as what I have mentioned from the movie Spider-Man, remember that power has consequences if not used well. These consequences are commitment, compliance, and resistance. There you have it, students. We will wait for your hashtags and see how much you have learned today. Whoops! Ready to say goodbye? Not so fast, students, but we're almost there. I just want you all to answer our assessment. For directions, read each item carefully and write a letter of the correct answers on a piece of paper. We'll check your answer before moving on to the next slide. Number 1. A component of the nature of power is based on the one belief that the other person has certain characteristics of having authority. A. Dynamic power. B. Latent power. C. Relative power. D. Perceived power. The correct answer is letter D, perceived power, because it is based on characteristics of having authority. Next, number 2. The police or military force sends people who violated the rules to jail. They follow the set by the Interagency Task Force or IATF. What kind of sources of power is being shown? A. Coercive power. B. Reward power. C. Referent power. D. Social power. The correct answer is letter A, coercive power, because of the police and military force for the citizen to follow the law. Number 3. Which situation below shows the reward of power? A. A layoff of an employee for not following the implementing rules of the company. B. Peter Ching, the president of multi-company, is launching his new project. C. The manager of fast food chain solves problem to ensure the project stays on track. D. The supervisor gives bonus who provide employee complete time when they meet an objective she said for the project. The correct answer is letter A. You may be confused, but note, the reward may come in positive or a negative way. In the situation, we can see what was the punishment of disobedience being implemented by the company. Number 4. Which type of leader uses extrinsic and intrinsic reward to control and influence other people? A. Rational legal authority. B. Coercive authority. C. Reward power. D. Referent power. The correct answer is letter C, reward power, because extrinsic and intrinsic rewards to control and influence other people which lead to compliance, of course, to get reward. Number 5. A chieftain in a certain tribe was elected by its people to have all the authority in them. What type of leadership is being followed by the tribe? A. Coercive authority. B. Rational legal authority. C. Referent power. D. Traditional power. The correct answer is letter D, traditional power, since choosing a chieftain in their tribe is based on election that is part of their tradition, just like in other culture, just like in Catholic Church, or the like. For your assignment, write a 250-word essay identifying the types of power that is the most applicable to Filipinos. Be guided by the provided rubric. An example output is given for your guidance. If you have questions regarding our lesson, please do not hesitate to get help from your teacher. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in our next episode with the topic Relationship among nations and states in the context of globalization. Once again, this is Sir Jazz. Always remember, if you're tired of all the things around you, cheer up and just smile. Be happy because learning is always fun. Bye-bye!